Hello and welcome to Gutter News Network. I'm your host, Har Brana, and my co-hosts are
Andrew Petrocius.
And Syed Akbar.
Gutter News Network, or GNN, is a worldwide news network which is 100% free of fake news, which means we do not present fake news at all.
Which we pride ourselves on.
Today we will be covering some important cases regarding employment discrimination, injury, the laws of corporations, and forms of business organization.
Sounds good. Let's start with one of the most prominent cases related to gender rights and gender discrimination.
And what would that be?
This would be Hively versus Ivy Tech.
And what's that about?
Well, at Ivy Tech, which is a university, a part-time professor by the name of Kimberly Hively openly confessed that she was a lesbian. Year after year after applying for a full-time position, she was repeatedly denied. She thought that the university was acting discriminatory in denying her employment because she was openly lesbian. She sued them, saying that it was a violation of her rights under Title VII of the Civil Rights Act and 42 U.S.C. 1981.
And what's that?
So Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 basically is a federal law that says that employers can't discriminate against employees on the basis of sex, race, national origin, religion, etc. Basically protected classes. And it generally applies to employers who have 15 or more employees within federal, state, and local governments. And in regards to 42 U.S.C. 1981, that basically means that all people within the jurisdiction of the U.S. shall have the same right in every state and territory to make and enforce contracts, to sue, to be parties.
Well, basically after filing this complaint, it was originally denied because the judges said that sexual orientation was not specifically covered under the acts. That is that your sexual orientation could be discriminated against because it was not a protected class at the time.
Well then, how did the Supreme Court rule on it?
Well, it eventually got passed up to the Supreme Court in the 7th Circuit Court, and originally the ruling was kept the same, but there were still some doubts. So by the process of en banc, which meant that a case heard by all the judges instead of just a panel, the judges voted to rehear the case, and the court remanded the decision, that is, reversed it. And they concluded that sexual orientation discrimination is included within the Civil Rights Act. That is, your sexual orientation is a protected class.
And what was the reaction to this?
Well, obviously it was seen as a big win in terms of LGBTQ rights.
Cool, Andrew. Let's move on to the next case, which is Citizens United versus FEC. Seems pretty interesting.
Well, it is interesting, because it is one of our next top stories. Well, to begin, Citizens United versus FEC is a case about the law of corporations. So this company, Citizens United, which was PAC, was funding a movie that criticized Hillary Clinton, who, as you probably know, was running for president. And they also wanted to advertise their movie after a big sports event.
Wait, so did the CEO of the company fund this, or was it the corporation itself?
Well, that's why the case is so important, because the corporation itself was funding this political advertisement.
Wow, what did the courts do then?
Well, at first, the district court ruled that they couldn't do this because the corporation wasn't a person, so they didn't have the First Amendment rights. However, the Supreme Court of the United States, that is, ruled that the First Amendment protected the act of free speech, not the person who is delivering the free speech. So Citizens United was able to make their movie and air their ads.
Cool, so now public slander is legal? Ha!
Well, moving on. Our next case is England versus Simmons, and it's a case related to forms of business ownership.
Well, Harb, what's this case about?
Well, Andrew and Syed, this case was an issue that concerned forms of business organizations. See, a man named Robert Hage owned a sole proprietorship business, Traditional Fine Art Limited. In his will, he left his business to his brother, his sister, and the 2 employees. However, in his will, he also gave all of his personal property to his sister. What a nice brother.
Oh, so I'm guessing that the sister argued that the company should be all hers because the sole proprietorship is not separate from the owner. So the business would have been Hage's personal property too.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. The sister share in England took all of the company and didn't give any ownership to the others. One of the employees, Simmons, that was also given ownership in Robert Hage's will, took this matter to court.
Oh yeah, I've heard about this. The district court ruled in favor of England because a sole proprietorship is the personal property of the owner. That is, they are not separate entities. However, the appellate court reversed this decision because they said, and I quote, "You can separately dispose of personal property and property associated with sole proprietorship."
Interesting. Well, our next case after England versus Simmons is a case taken up by Vince Chahabria, a federal judge.
This case is specifically related to entertainment. A California law was originally created that was requiring entertainment employment services providers such as IMBD to remove age-related information from online profiles at request of paid subscriber, even if info was gotten from another source. The law originally did this to combat age discrimination, which is something that we want to combat.
Yeah, so what happened then?
Well, basically, Judge Vince Chahabria reversed the law. He found the policy unconstitutional because it allowed for censorship of speech. He argued that it was a violation of the First Amendment because it allowed the actors or the actresses to remove their personal details created by someone else, published online freely.
Well, our last case today is Circuit City versus Dwyer. And all I have to say is that this case is pretty interesting.
How so?
Well, basically, this guy somehow got stuck in a vending machine. One of his coworkers asked him to help him get some stuck food in the machine, and then he got a broken hip. LOL.
So what happened next?
Well, this guy Dwyer sued Circuit City because of the employment-related injury.
Yeah?
Yeah, so basically, his coworker couldn't get his snack out the vending machine, so his 90-year-old Clinton Dwyer went to help. Because of his awkward angle and him being 90 years old, he broke his hip.
Yeah, and so basically, this guy got workers' comp because first he was on the job. There have been previous problems with the machine. It is also foreseeable that Dwyer would help a fellow coworker. So the corporation, Circuit City, was held liable, and Dwyer won this case.
Well, thank you for tuning in to GNN. It's been a pleasure, and we will see you soon.
Don't get your food stuck in the vending machine. And don't ask a 90-year-old man to help you get it out, because he will break his hip. Have a good day, America.
Remember to come back for the only 100% free news network of fake news.
Goddard News Network, baby, we out.
Let's go.